Chapter 7 Benefiting the Living and the Dead. At that time, Earth-Store Bodhisattva Mahasattva said to the Buddha, "World Honored One, I see that every single movement or stirring of thought on the part of beings of Jambudvipa is an offense. Beings tend to use up any wholesome benefits they accrue, and many of them end up retreating from their initial resolve. If they encounter evil conditions, they magnify them with every thought. They are like people trying to carry heavy ropes while walking through mud. Each step becomes more difficult, and the ropes more cumbersome as their feet sink deeper. If they meet a mentor, he may be strong enough to lighten or even totally remove their burdens. Helping them thus, the mentor will then advise them to stay on solid ground and be mindful never to go back into that treacherous path. World Honored One, the bad habits of beings range from minor to major, since all beings have such habits. Their families or relatives should create blessings for them when they are on the verge of dying in order to assist them on the road ahead. That may be done by hanging banners and canopies, lighting oil lamps, reciting the sacred sutras, and making offerings before the images of Buddhas or sages. Another way to assist them is by reciting the names of Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and Pratyeka Buddhas so that the recitation of each name passes by the ear of the dying one and is heard in his fundamental consciousness. Suppose the evil karma created by beings was such that they ought to fall into the bad destinies. If their relatives cultivate wholesome causes on their behalf when they are close to death, then their manifold offenses can be dissolved. If relatives can further do many good deeds during the first 49 days after the death of such beings, then the deceased can leave the evil destinies forever, be born as humans and gods, and receive supremely wonderful bliss. Their surviving relatives will also receive limitless benefits. Therefore, before the Buddhas, World Honored Ones, as well as before the gods, dragons, and the rest of the Eightfold Division, humans and non-humans, I now exhort beings of Jambudvipa to be careful to avoid harming, killing, and doing other unwholesome deeds, to refrain from worshipping ghosts and spirits or making sacrifices to them, and never to call on mountain sprites on the day of death. Why is that? Killing, harming, and making sacrifices do not even have a tiny hairbreadth of power with which to benefit the deceased. Such acts only bind up the conditions of offenses so that they grow ever deeper and heavier. The deceased might have been due to increase his potential for sagehood or gain birth among humans or gods in his next life or in the future. But if his family commits offenses in his name, his good rebirth will be delayed. How much more would that be the case for people on the verge of death who during their lives had failed to plant even a few good roots? Each offender has to undergo the bad destinies according to his own karma. How could anyone bear to have relatives add to that karma? That would be like having a neighbor add a few more things to a load of over 100 pounds being carried by someone who had already traveled a long distance and who had not eaten for 3 days. If that extra weight were added, that person's burden would become even more unbearable. One Honored One, I see that beings of Jambudvipa will themselves receive the benefit of any good deeds they are able to do that accord with the Buddha's teachings. That holds true even when the deeds are as small as a strand of hair, a drop of water, a grain of sand, or a mote of dust. After that had been said, an elder named Great Eloquence rose in the assembly. He had realized non-production long ago and was appearing in the body of an elder only to teach and transform those in the 10 directions. Putting his palms together respectfully, he asked Earth Star Bodhisattva, Great Lord, after people in Jambudvipa die and their close and distant relatives cultivate merit by making vegetarian meal offerings and doing other such good deeds, will the deceased obtain merit and virtue significant enough to bring about their liberation? Earth Star replied, Elder, based on the awesome power of the Buddhas, I will now expound this principle for the sake of beings of the present and future. Elder, if beings of the present and future, when on the verge of dying, hear the name of one Buddha, one Bodhisattva, or one Prajna Buddha, they will attain liberation, whether they have committed offenses or not. When men or women laden with offenses who failed to plant good causes die, even they can receive 1/7 of any merit dedicated to them by relatives who do good deeds on their behalf. The other 6/7 of the merit will return to the living relatives who did the good deeds. It follows that good men and women of the present and future who cultivate while they are strong and healthy will receive all of the benefit derived. The arrival of the great ghost of impermanence is so unexpected that the deceased one's consciousness is first wrapped in darkness and obscurity, unaware of offenses and blessings. For 49 days, the deceased are as if deluded or deaf, or as if in course where their karmic retributions are being decided. Once judgment is fixed, they are reborn according to their karma. In the time before rebirths are determined, the deceased suffer from thousands upon thousands of anxieties. How much more is that the case for those who are to fall into the bad destinies? Throughout 49 days, those whose lives have ended and who have not yet been reborn will be hoping every moment that their immediate relatives will earn blessings powerful enough to rescue them. At the end of that time, the deceased will undergo retribution according to their karma. If someone is an offender, he may pass through hundreds of thousands of years without even a day's liberation. If someone's offenses deserve fivefold relentless retribution, he will fall into the great hells and undergo incessant suffering throughout hundreds of millions of ends. Moreover, elder, when beings who have committed karmic offenses die, their relatives may prepare vegetarian offerings to aid them on their karmic paths. In the process of preparing the vegetarian meal and before it has been eaten, rice, washing water, and vegetable leaves should not be thrown on the ground. Before the food is offered to the Buddhas and the Sangha, no one should eat it. If there is laxness or transgression in this matter, then the deceased will receive no strength from it. But if purity is rigorously maintained in making the offering to the Buddhas and the Sangha, the deceased will receive 1/7 of the merit. Therefore, elder, by performing vegetarian offerings on behalf of deceased fathers, mothers, and other relatives while making earnest supplication on their behalf, beings of Jambudvipa benefit both the living and the dead. After that was said, thousands of billions of Nayutas of ghosts and spirits of Jambudvipa who were in the palace of the Trayastrimsha Heaven made the unlimited resolve to attain Bodhi. The elder great eloquence made obeisance and withdrew. Chapter 8. Praises of Lord Yama and his followers. At that time, from within the Iron Ring Mountain, Lord Yama and his following of infinite ghost kings came before the Buddha in the Trayastrimsha Heaven. They were the Ghost King Evil Poison, the Ghost King Many Evils, the Ghost King Great Argument, the Ghost King White Tiger, the Ghost King Blood Tiger, the Ghost King Crimson Tiger, the Ghost King Spreading Disaster, the Ghost King Flying Body, the Ghost King Lightning Flash, the Ghost King Wolf Tooth, the Ghost King Thousand Eyes, the Ghost King Animal Eater, the Ghost King Rock Bearer, the Ghost King Lord of Bad News, the Ghost King Lord of Calamities, the Ghost King Lord of Food, the Ghost King Lord of Wealth, the Ghost King Lord of Domestic Animals, the Ghost King Lord of Birds, the Ghost King Lord of Beasts, the Ghost King Lord of Mountain Sprites, the Ghost King Lord of Birth, the Ghost King Lord of Life, the Ghost King Lord of Sickness, the Ghost King Lord of Danger, the Ghost King Three Eyes, the Ghost King Four Eyes, the Ghost King Five Eyes, the Ghost King Chili Shi, the Great Ghost King Chili Shi, the Ghost King Chili Cha, the Great Ghost King Chili Cha, the Ghost King No Cha, the Great Ghost King No Cha, and other such great ghost kings. With hundreds of thousands of minor ghost kings who dwelt throughout Jambudvipa, each presiding over certain jurisdictions. Aided by the Buddha's awesome spiritual strength and the power of Earth-Store Bodhisattva Mahasattva, all these ghost kings joined Lord Yama in the Trayastrimsha Heaven, and together they stood to one side. Then Lord Yama knelt, placed his palms together, and said to the Buddha, World-honored one, aided by the Buddha's awesome spiritual strength and the power of Earth-Store Bodhisattva, I have been able to come here with all these ghost kings to join this great assembly in the Trayastrimsha Heaven, which will be very much to our benefit. There is now a small doubt that I should like to express, and we hope the world-honored one will be compassionate and resolve it. The Buddha told Lord Yama, I will answer any question you would like to ask. At that time, Lord Yama looked respectfully at the world-honored one, made obeisance, turned his head to acknowledge Earth-Store Bodhisattva, and then said to the Buddha, World-honored one, I observe that Earth-Store Bodhisattva uses hundreds of thousands of expedient devices to rescue beings who are suffer for their offenses within the 6 paths of rebirth. I see that he does so instinctively, without the least fatigue. Although this great Bodhisattva uses his inconceivable spiritual penetration to do such deeds, it doesn't take long for the beings whom he has helped in gaining release from retribution to fall into the evil paths again. World-honored one, since the Earth-Store Bodhisattva has such great inconceivable spiritual powers, Why? Our beings are not able to rely on Him, to stay on the good paths, and to be freed once and for all. Please, won't Honored One explain that for us? The Buddha told Lord Yama, the beings of Jambudvipa have stubborn and obstinate natures, difficult to tame, difficult to subdue. This great Bodhisattva continually rescues such beings throughout hundreds of thousands of ends, causing them to obtain liberation quickly. For those beings undergoing retributions, even in the worst destinies, the Bodhisattva applies the strength of experience to extricate them from their own basic karmic contributions, basic karmic conditions, and lead them to understand the events of their past lives. But because beings of Jambudvipa are so bound up by their own heavy bad habits, they keep revolving in and out of the various paths over and over, as this Bodhisattva labors throughout many long ends to entirely effect their rescue and release. They are like people who, in confusion, lose their way home and take a dangerous road by mistake. On that dangerous road are many yakshas, tigers, wolves, lions, serpents, and vipers. Those confused people are sure to be harmed very quickly on that dangerous path. But then they meet a knowledgeable guide, skilled in avoiding all the potential harm, including the toxins of the yakshas and others. This mentor begins to lead the travelers off that dangerous path, saying, "Beware, everyone, what business has brought you onto this road? What kinds of special skills do you have to avoid all those dangers?" Hearing that, the confused travelers realize that they are on a dangerous path and turn back, attempting to escape. The guide then tells them to join hands, leads them off the dangerous path, and helps them avoid the deadly peril. When they reach the safe road, the travelers are relieved and calm down. Their guide then says to them, "Take care, confused ones, never to get back on that path again. Once on it, it is hard to get off. It can destroy a person's very nature and life." The travelers who had been confused expressed their deep gratitude, and as they are about to part, the mentor says to them, "If you see any other travelers, whether you know them personally or not, be they men or women, tell them that the dangers and evils on that path could destroy their very natures and lives. Do not allow them so unwittingly bring about their own deaths." In the same way, Earth-star Bodhisattva, replete with great compassion, rescues beings who are suffering for their offenses and enables them to be born among humans and gods, where they enjoy wonderful bliss. Once those offenders are released from the suffering they experienced on the paths where their karma took them, they must never go down those roads again. They are like the lost people who mistakenly took a dangerous path and were led to safety by a kind mentor. They know now to never take that road again. Moreover, they exhort others not to get on that road by saying, "We took that road ourselves when we got confused, but we escaped and now we know better than to ever get on the road again. If we were to set foot on it again, we would get confused and be unable to recognize it as the dangerous path we took before. That being the case, we might lose our lives. We might lose our lives." The same holds true for falling into the bad destinies. Due to the powerful expedient means of earth-store Bodhisattva, beings can be freed and gain rebirth as humans or gods. If they were then to turn around and enter into the bad destinies again, those with heavy karmic bonds might remain in the hells forever with no chance of escape. At that time, the ghost king Evil Poison placed his palms together respectfully, addressed the Buddha, and said, "World Honored One, each of us countless ghost kings of Jambudvipa bestows benefit or inflicts harm upon beings differently. However, karmic retributions cause those in my retinue to do more evil than good. Nonetheless, when we pass by a household, a city, a town, a garden, a cottage, or a hut, where there are men or women who have cultivated as little as a hair's worth of good deeds, even if they have hung up but one banner or one canopy, used a little incense or a few flowers as offerings to images of Buddhas or Bodhisattvas, recited the sacred sutras, or burned incense as an offering to even one sentence or gather in them. We ghost kings will respect such people as we would the Buddhas of the past, present, and future. We will instruct the smaller ghosts, each of whom has great power, as well as the earth spirits, to protect such people. Bad situations, accidents, severe or unexpected illnesses, and all other unwelcome events will not even come near their residences or other places where they may be, much less enter the door. The Buddha praised the ghost kings. Excellent, excellent. That all of you ghost kings join Lord Yama in protecting good men and women in that way. I shall tell Lord Brahma and Lord Chakra to make sure that you are protected as well. When that was said, a ghost king in the assembly named Lord of Life said to the Buddha, "World Honored One, my karmic conditions are such that I have jurisdiction over the lifespans of people in Jambudvipa, governing the time of both their births and their deaths. My fundamental vows are based on a great desire to benefit them. But people do not understand my intent and go through birth and death in distress. Why is that? When women in Jambudvipa have just given birth to children, be they boys or girls, or when they are just about to give birth, good deeds should be done to increase the benefits of the household, thus causing the local earth spirits to be immeasurably pleased. The spirits will then protect the mother and child so that they experience peace and happiness and will bring benefit to the entire family. After the birth or killing and injuring for the purpose of offering fresh meat to the mother should be carefully avoided, as should parties that include drinking alcohol, eating meat, singing and playing musical instruments. All those things can keep the mother and child from being peaceful and happy. Why is that? At the difficult time of birth, uncountable evil ghosts, including mountain sprites, goblins, and certain spirits, desire to eat the strong-smelling blood. I quickly order the local earth spirits of that household to protect the mother and child, allowing them to be peaceful and happy and to receive other benefits. When people in such households witness those benefits, they should do meritorious deeds to express their gratitude to the earth spirits. If instead they harm and kill, and have large gatherings involving feasting and entertainment, then the retributions that results from such offenses will be borne by them and will bring harm to the mother and child as well. Moreover, when people of Jambudvipa are on the verge of death, I wish to keep them from falling into the evil paths, regardless of whether they have done good or evil. But how much is this power of mine to have them increased when they have personally cultivated good rules? When those who do good in Jambudvipa are about to die, hundreds of thousands of ghosts and spirits from the evil paths transform themselves and appear as their parents or other relatives in an attempt to lead such people to fall into the evil paths. How much more is that the case for those who have done evil deeds? World Honored One, when men or women in Jambudvipa are on the verge of death, their consciousnesses and spirits become confused and dark. They are unable to discriminate between good and evil, and their eyes and ears are unable to see or hear. That is why relatives of those deceased people should make generous offerings, recite the sacred sutras, and recite the names of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Such good conditions can cause the deceased to leave the evil paths, and all the demons, ghosts, and spirits will withdraw and disperse. World Honored One, if at the time of death beings of any kind have an opportunity to hear the name of one Buddha or Bodhisattva, or to hear a sentence or gather of a Mahayana Sutra, I observe that such beings can quickly be freed from the pool of their accumulated minor bad deeds that would otherwise send them to the evil paths. The exception to that is crimes involving killing that warrant fivefold relentless retribution. The Buddha told the Ghost King, Lord of Life, because of your great compassion, you are able to make such great vows and protect all beings in the midst of life and death. When men or women in the future undergo birth and death, do not retreat from your vow, but liberate them all so that they can experience eternal peace. The Ghost King told the Buddha, please do not be concerned until the end of my life. In every thought, I shall protect beings of Jambudvipa at the time both of birth and of death, so that they all find tranquility. I only wish that at the time of birth and death, they would believe what I say, so that they could all be liberated and gain many benefits. At that time, the Buddha told the Earth Star Bodhisattva, this great Ghost King, Lord of Life, has already passed through hundreds of thousands of lives as a great Ghost King, protecting beings during both birth and death. Only because of his great being's compassionate vows does he appear thus in the body of a great Ghost King, for in reality he is not a ghost. After 170 aeons have passed, he will become a Buddha named No Appearance Thus Come One. His aeon will be called happiness, and his world will be named pure dwelling. That Buddha's lifespan will continue for incalculable ends. Earth Star, the circumstances surrounding this great Ghost King are thus. They are inconceivable, and the people and gods whom he rescues are countless. And a part 2 of Sutra of the Past Vows of Earth Star Bodhisattva. The true words of 7 Buddhas for eradicating offenses. Li po di, jiao he di, tuo luo ni he la di, pi li ni di, mo he jie di, chen ling jian di, suo po he. Spirit mantra for rebirth in the pure land. Nam mô A Mi Tua Phua Ye, Tua Tua Chia Tua Ye, Tua Di Ye Tua Mi Li Tu Phua Pi Mi Li Tua, Si Tan Phua Pi Mi Li Tua, Pi Cha Lan Di Mi Li Tua, Pi Cha Lan Tua Chia Mi Li, Chia Chia Nua, True Tua Cha Li Sua Phua Kha. Mantra for patching the flaws in recitation. Nam mô He La Da Na Do La Ye Ye Chia La Chu Chu Mo La Hu La Hung He Su Da Na Hung Po Mo Nu Zuo Po He. Praise. Universal worthy requests, Earth Star replies in depth, so that beings in the three paths and six realms go free. From the dusty world of rebirths, universally expansive asks the Tathagata and learns of traditions and the 10 fasting days, so that all reach the lotus terrace. Homage to Earth Star Bodhisattva Mahasattva. Earth Star Bodhisattva praise. Earth Star Bodhisattva, wonderful beyond compare, gold-hued in his transformation body, he appears. Wondrous Dharma sounds throughout the three paths and six realms. 4 births and 10 kinds of beings gain his kindly grace. His pearl, shining brightly, lights the way to heaven's homes. 6-ringed golden staff shakes open wide the gates of hell, leads on those with causes garnered life and life again, to bow at the 9-flowered terrace of the honored one. Namo Earth Star great vows and compassion Bodhisattva of the dark and dismal wombs. On 9-flower mountain, most honored one. With 10 wheels of power, you rescue all the suffering ones. Homage to Earth Star Bodhisattva.